How's it going, everyone? McKinney here from 3FTV. Today I'm going to talk about an area that I feel Christians would do a good job in, right? Especially living out some of those Christian principles, those Jesus-like traits, to really change the financial world that we live in, to change people's career paths, to change a lot of things, right? But before we begin, I want to make sure I welcome you. So welcome to the channel. If this is your first time, make sure you subscribe and you like this video, right? What that's going to allow me to do is allow me to give you more content like this on a daily or every other day, as much as I can. And also it's going to help you get more knowledge like this so that you can start changing the trajectory of your life and how much you can serve others, serve your family, serve God. So yeah, make sure you do that, give the thumbs up and subscribe. Next, I want to make sure that you hit the link in my bio, whether it's right now, and then come back to this video, or you do it at the end of this video, and sign up for Webull. If you don't have a Webull, Webull is an investing account that is big. A lot of people know about it, but they'll give you 2 free stocks for signing up. All you got to do is sign up and deposit $100. The stocks can be worth as little as $10, all the way up to $2,150. Now, let's say you only get $10. That's 10% on your return already, right? That is amazing. That's almost matching the S&P 500. If you get 2,000, let's say you get Google shares, which they just gave out Google shares, or Alphabet, I should say. That's $2,000. That's already a 20 times fold on your investments. You can't beat that, right? So that's it. Now to get into it, right? So what I think that Christians can give to this community, especially the financial community, is vulnerability, right? A lot of people do not talk about finances, about money, about their jobs, like how much they're making, how much, like anything involving money, how much they got in the bank, because it's not the norm, right? And I would say that it's not the norm for many reasons, right? Because as you know, in America, it's a class-based system. There are a lot of discouragement, there's a lot of embarrassment that goes on in the form of finances, right? People don't want to be seen as lower than someone else just based on how much they're earning, or what their job is, right? That's why someone said this, right? That people ask, what do you do for work? And one of the first things when they meet you to see how much respect they are going to give you. Well, I don't think that's true for everybody. It does make a little bit of sense, right? Because people will judge you based on what you do, what your profession is, and then what your income in there is as well, right? Because it doesn't matter if you're a waitress, people just automatically assume that you make less. You could be making 6 figures as a waitress, they do not care. But then also, sometimes you might be making, you might have a really noble job, right, as a teacher or something, but sometimes they don't get the respect that they deserve because their pay is less. There's someone else that is working as a lawyer or a doctor that's making a lot more money. But even in that regard, people dream for getting these higher status jobs that pay more so that they can be seen as someone that's elevated, even if it doesn't matter if they have more debt than the average person, if they are really struggling themselves, right? Even people that are in higher paying jobs don't really talk about how much, they only talk about how much money they make. They don't talk about how much money they're in debt, how much they owe in school loans, whether they owe $500,000, whether they're almost in bankruptcy, because it is taboo. But as Christians, we are called to be set apart from this world. And when something is taboo in the world or not seen, we are supposed to be doing that, and we're supposed to set ourselves apart as long as it's legal and moral and things like that, right? But I believe even as Christians, we can get stuck in a rut where we don't open up and be vulnerable when it comes to our finances, right? How do I know this? Because in the U.S., majority of marriages that happen end in divorce, right? And majority of the U.S. calls themselves a Christian, right? And this is disregarding the fact that the Bible says the road is narrow, the gate is narrow, and majority of people will say they are and aren't, but disregarding it. But people call themselves Christians, yet the biggest thing that makes people get divorces is finances. The number one cause of most divorces is finances, right? This could be for many reasons. It could be because someone feels like they're getting taken advantage of, or they're being used for their money. Maybe someone is spending and not updating their spouse, or maybe someone is making more money than they are telling their spouse, right? The other thing could be that 2 spouses can't join together and see how they're going to raise their family, what type of house they're going to get, how they're going to combine their finances, their investments, and stuff like that. So they just get divorces because it's easier. But it's crazy because that is a simple issue that can be solved. Fixing a checkbook or anything like that is as simple as starting a spreadsheet. It is very simple. Yet most people are not open about that stuff, and that is why it creeps in and is the number one reason for divorce. They think you just need to handle it yourself, right? I've been in that situation. I've seen others that think like, I should be way ahead than where I'm at right now. I'm doing the things that it says I should do, but I'm not making progress. I must be a failure. I must be at fault. And people are fearful of putting their failures out there that they don't get help. And we need that help, especially as Christians. We know that we grow in our connection to God when we are open about our sin, because we can get prayers, we can get healing that way, or even our failures. And we know that when we are open about the things that we are doing, like reading our Bible or helping someone out, we get closer to God. When we're talking about that, because people are encouraging us, but then also we're helping other people in their walk as well. And then when we say our failures or things that we messed up in, we give someone else the opportunity to lift us up. That in turn gets them closer to God because they are serving God in that way. Now, for some reason as Christians, we do not openly talk about finances, to the point where sometimes churches will take tithes and offerings, and sometimes they will say, hey, I noticed that you've been slacking in your tithes, or you haven't been giving as much. And even if they come at this with the point of, we're only mentioning this because we are in a financial crisis right now, and your tithing has slipped up, so we just want to make sure you're okay at your job, at your work, you can take care of your family. People see that as taboo, and they peace out on the church because, oh, you're looking at my checkbook or whatever, even though they're coming from a caring point, right? And when this happens, we will fall into darkness, and we will go into our own shells. And we know that a lot of times when you're embarrassed or something you did is wrong, you take it internally and you go hide. And we know a lot of errors and a lot of mistakes, and even Satan or even the world itself and vultures can come into us when we are cocooned in darkness and hidden from the world and hidden from the light, right? And as Christians, we know we should be in the light and we should be vulnerable. This is how we will change it. If we change the precedence for our friends and our families, that we're going to be open about our finances, we will see a lot of change in our own lives and in the world. Right? If you think about it, the more conversations you have about finances, the more it becomes the norm, and the more everybody gets help, right? Everybody will get help. I had a conversation with someone the other day about LA, and they talked about how it's expensive, that their job was going to move them out here, but they was like, I get paid a good amount for my job, they were going to give me a raise, but they hesitated right before they said they got paid a lot. They didn't want to say how much, and it's just crazy because maybe they thought they were going to get judged for how much they made or get used for it, right? We see it all the time. This is why lotto players sometimes don't announce their names when they win the lottery, because they don't want someone calling like, hey, cuzzo, what's up? Or how you been? Auntie needs some help or whatever. Or maybe they don't want to be seen as, you didn't earn your money. It was given to you, especially for the women out there that it gets told, surprisingly, which just shouldn't happen. But stuff like that. And I think it's just crazy because when we start having these conversations about it, we start changing. We change the world because now we're having conversations, and when you have these conversations, the people who don't dream like you, they take a step back. The people that don't have faith like you, they take a step back. The people that don't want to change take a step back, right? And the people who do dream like you or who have accomplished dreams like yours, they gravitate towards you. That changes a lot. The other thing that happens is you start learning your value and your worth, right? You see this in the work field. A lot of employers do not want you to talk with your coworkers how much you make, because they will realize that one person in that group will notice that they make less than the other, and they will demand a raise, or they will see that they're worth more, and if they don't get that raise, they will start slacking off. Or the other thing is that they'll find another company that is the same position but pays them a lot more. Employers don't want you to do that, because if you don't find out you're getting paid less than your peer, the employer makes more money. It does, but the crazy thing here is that we get in the sense that if I demand a raise, it is going to affect that person, it's going to make them look bad, or even the employer is just going to cut me. But you got to think about it. It's about your value. If you know you're valued more, you'll seek after it and you'll get it. Most of the time, if you negotiate, you will get it. But it only hurts you when you don't talk about that stuff or you make it taboo. So now I'm just challenging everyone to make it a norm. So having these conversations, right? Because you will start realizing that a lot more people are either struggling in this and hiding stuff, and you will help them in their generations to come, or you will help yourself because you realize that people have implemented these things already and they just haven't told you, right? There are a lot of people in my age bracket, I'm 26, I'm a millennial, that have made a lot of money and are millionaires at my age because they've invested it in real estate or stocks, right? And I wouldn't know that unless I'm talking to these people and reaching out, right? But then the other thing as well is that my age group, we do not talk about this at all, but we need to normalize it, because this will only help us break out of the loop, break that wealth gap, the generational curses, the family curses, or whatever, if we talk about it. We can't be embarrassed about it. We got to use our embarrassments or our failures to propel us forward, but we can't do that if we're hiding in it. And if we hide in it, we know that money is the root of all evil, and money will be Lord, and you will not be freed from the masters and the shackles of financial, debt, or even from not having money or not being able to enjoy life, until you're open about where you're at, until you seek more and you get a group of people around you that is talking more and more about it. We see famous YouTubers and all these, investors talk about it. You want to talk about finances as much as possible with other people, because it's only going to help educate you and help inspire you, and educate and inspire the people around you, and ultimately everyone in your vicinity, including yourself, will elevate. And the more you can elevate in this realm, you'll elevate closer to God when you're able to set yourself free from money and actually attain more money. You're able to give back more, serve more, do a lot more for God. Hopefully this makes sense. Let's implement this. And like I stated in the beginning of this video, let me know what you think in the comments about this, how you're implementing this, how you see this mindset changing people. But then also make sure you click on that link in Webull and get started in your financial journey. Deposit $100. You can get up to $2,150. You can even get Google shares. And this is going to be a great investment, a great start to your future.